zachitika kuti zachitika nthawi zanji kodi nanga amene wapanga ndani musakhale nawo gulu lovutika ndi mphekesera la ayi tapangani subscribe ku Malawi Daily Headlines lero kuti zochitika mdziko mwanu momwe zisamakuphonyeni. Kukulandirani kwina kulikonse kumene muli pano pa Malawi Daily Headlines, ndipo mu nthawi ino takutengeranso ku Parliament komwe Commission of Enquiry maka yomwe ikufufuza za ngozi ya ndege yomwe inachitika pa 10th June 2024 yomwe inapha wachiwiri kwa mtsogoleri wa dziko lino nthawi imeneyo malemu Dr. Saulos Chilima ndi anthu ena 8 ikumva kuchokera kwa anthu osiyanasiyana. Maka nthawi ino aitana yomwe anali komanda nthawi imeneyo General Valentino Phiri, ndipo General Valentino Phiri kumeneko mafunso amene anatichititsa chidwi ife maka amene anafunsidwa kumeneko ndi Commission of Enquiry anali onena kuti kodi ndizoona kuti asilikali kumeneko anasiya kupanga search ndi kudzayambiranso tsiku lina, kodi nanga iwowo tu a Valentino Phiri akuti nthawi ina yake anafotokoza kunena kuti ndege yagwera kumalo Kokhwithima kwambiri, kunena kuti sizingatengere tsiku lomwelo kuti azipeze kumeneko. Kodi zimenezo zinali zoona? Komanso anawapempha kunena kuti asimikize chiwerengero cha asilikali amene anapita kukasaka ndege ingakhalenso apolisi. Kunalitu zinthu zambiri zomwe a Valentino Phiri kumeneko afunsidwa. Takhalani pomwepo inu kuti muzimvere nokha amene komanso muthe kuona nokha momwe a Valentino Phiri maka anayankhira komanso kufotokozera ku komiti kumeneko. Ngati mangotipeza kumene tapangani subscribe komanso like kuti update ina iliyonse isamakuphonyeni nthawi yake. A Valentino Phiri tu anafotokoza motere.
So just to put it on record is that your presentation is not complete because you are limited by the summons.
Mr. Chair, certainly and precisely, I submit.
Okay, I just wanted to establish that so that we should know how far we can go with the questioning. May I open the floor to members to seek further clarification, pose any relevant questions, starting with Planter Malabara and Dirande.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. My interest is on the number of ground troops. After discovering that there was a need for a physical search, how many ground troops and teams did you deploy for this mission? Second question, I'd like to find out, when you're doing the search, what exactly prevented the team on the ground to discover the crash site on the same day or night? Thank you.
May I recognize Zomba City South?
Thank you so much, Chairperson. And I should also thank the General for presenting himself before this committee. Chairperson, I've got several questions. And I just wanted to be clear on the timelines. I'm now on.
Can I stop you there? Maybe for further direction. Can you answer the question of? Let's dispose the question of Planter Malabar so you can engage him.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Two questions that have been posited. The first one is about the number of ground troops and teams that were actually deployed to conduct the search and rescue operations. It will be very difficult for me to come up with the teams, but I will only concentrate on the ground troops, because on the ground, the soldiers actually were divided by the commanders who were on the ground. So that information, I'm not privy to that information. Precisely, there were 172 MDF troops 142 troops had come from the 3rd Battalion, which is Moyare Barracks, comprising the 3rd Battalion of the Malawi Rifles. 30 plus 1 had actually come from within. The MDF conducts what we call Tetezankarango operations, and they are usually located within the Chikangawa forest at one of the camps within where the siege had commenced. So we had that number of troops. So information about the teams, I think soldiers operate the concept of mission command. Mission command, you are only told what you are supposed to do. And the how is actually taken down to the subordinate commanders for them to utilize their capabilities according to their specialty in the areas of expertise. So if you ask me about the teams, that should actually suffice. That I think it was one whole group which, according to the commanders on the ground, were able to divide into the teams. In terms of the police, I'm told they actually presented a figure of 250 personnel. This was also problematic because they were coming from different locations of the region. So accountability of the 250 that had been that had been reported to have reported for the operation maybe could only be substantiated on the 3rd day as to how many were on the ground. But the report was that the figure, which was actually submitted by the police, was 250. The second question was what prevented the teams to discover the crash site. Certainly, this is an aircraft which was missing. Initially, it was the signal which we're looking for. It could also be tracked by any of the entities that I had actually mentioned in my presentation. Then, to be honest, to say that we were failing to trace the signal means we did not have anywhere where we could start from. This could be the reason as to why we could actually locate and decided to conduct a physical search. And also the reason as to why the physical search had to commence from 2 locations. Chisitu, that is on the southern side of Kasitu on the southern side of Chikangawa Forest, and the Reply Aerodrome, which is close to the road, I think, as you are going to Mzuzu on the western side. I think these are the responses that I would give to the honorable member from Blantyre, Malabada. I submit and I thank you.
General, may I just reflect on the question by Blantyre, Malabada as a supplementary? So you're saying there are about 149 soldiers. Can you confirm the number again, so that I should not miss the actual number? Was it 149 soldiers that were deployed for search and rescue?
172.
172.
Thank you.
In your opinion, General, was the number sufficient? Was the number of soldiers sufficient to conduct a search and rescue in Chikangawa, an area that you said in Nkalango Kokhwithima? Was 172 soldiers sufficient to scout the whole of Chikangawa on an aircraft that belongs to the military? In your opinion, was the number sufficient to find your aircraft that had gone missing in an area that was vast and thick with forest? Can you just confirm?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. This number was actually good enough. This is what in the media I would call a company plus. And remember, we have also a team that actually came from Zomba. And the team that actually came from Zomba was about 30 plus, which means it was close to 200. So 200 was good enough to cover the search area if they were deployed efficiently and with a focused approach. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you for that. Zomba City South.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think we'll start with where the General has stopped from. You said the MDF was working alongside the police in your submission. And you said the other people who were helping were not under your command. Now, working with the police, I just wanted to be sure who was in charge of these rescue operations between you, the military, and the police. I would like to engage the witness chair. General, you might want to take the question and then I will come again.
Thank you very much. The aircraft which was lost belonged to the MDF. In any operations that civilians are involved, the MDF takes precedence and is usually in charge. Maybe to answer briefly and precisely, MDF was in charge. So it was not a matter of MDF working alongside the police. It was the MDF and the police.
What I wanted was to say MDF was in command.
Thank you very much. MDF was in command. Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable.
Thank you. I noted in your presentation that at a certain point, police operations were being coordinated by the Northern Region Commander of Police. And I've got also on record from the previous witnesses that Mr. Luhanga called off the search efforts at that point. Was these search efforts called off on the side of the police only, or it was also on behalf of the team, including the military?
Honorable Chair, if you follow me, there hasn't been any statement that has come from me talking about Mr. Luhanga stopping the search. I only mentioned Mr. Sean Kamponden called me to ask if I had given an order to actually discontinue the search. And I answered negative. We had our soldiers, and we always have our soldiers in Chikangawa. If they were located and are located there all the time, I don't see why there would be that kind of order to say discontinue the search. Actually, soldiers, if you look at the characteristics of the soldiers and even their tasks, is to work throughout by day and night and in all types of weather and terrain. So if this is being advanced, then it's not coming from me. I don't remember, and I have my copy. I don't think I have mentioned anywhere concerning anybody stopping the search. But me, actually, refusing or denying that such an order was promulgated. I thank you, Honorable Member of Parliament.
Thank you so much, General. In that regard, I also wanted to continue. On the search and rescue operations, number 9, the communication with the flight, the last one, you said it was at 10:12, when we were told that the plane was 20 nautical miles north. And I see that the next what we have written under the search and rescue operations was that at 13, 15 hours, there was some cellular signal under Chikangawa. Between 10, 12 and 13, 15 hours, I just wanted to hear from you, General, what was happening under the search and rescue efforts under the military?
Thank you very much, honorable member from Zomba City South. The report about contact with the aircraft at the time that I've mentioned is coming from the Air Force commander through the air traffic control in Mzuzu. It's not something that is being reported by somebody who is in Lilongwe or who is close to the site. So he is being told. And the report of the sighting or getting the signal at that particular material time is from a service provider. So you want to understand where these two are coming from. It's information which was actually provided, and we could not actually discriminate or disassociate to say maybe you are lying or maybe you are saying the truth. It was all information. The Air Force commander, through the air traffic control in Mzuzu, was given this information. This other one came from our effort through the OPC to say, can maybe the mobile service communication providers assist with locating a signal from the initiative of getting the cell numbers of all the people that were on board, is where we are getting this privileged information to say, no, there's a signal. On further interrogation, we wanted to find out when you are saying it is coming from the tower in Chikangawa, we requested to say what would be the distance or the radius. Then they gave us the radius of 20 kilometers radius. So 20 kilometers radius is a huge area. You cannot actually start from anywhere. What you need to do is kind of scout or scour the ground or the terrain.
Chairperson, I just wanted the General to tell us what was happening in terms of rescue efforts between 10-12 and 13-15. So I'm not still clear what you were doing as MDF in terms of searching for this flight.
So if I may come in, I think the General has said in between there were meetings. You had 2 meetings, briefing sessions and planning sessions on how to conduct a search and rescue. Is that right? Prior to that, would that be your response that the actual search was only embarked on at 4 o'clock, but in between there were a series of meetings where you were planning? Can you confirm? Maybe that will address his question.
I ought to address this or reinforce this to say between this, I have said there were preliminary searches, and preliminary searches are efforts where we are trying to locate in other aerodromes within the country and also outside the country. That's number one. Number two, we are saying we are contacting airlines that actually operate within our airspace. And there was mention of Ethiopian and also Kenyan Airways. So these actually reported later on or intend that they had not had any contact and also gotten any kind of tracking or sighting of the aircraft. So if you ask me, these are the activities. Over and above that, there were also these meetings where the search and rescue was being planned. So if you look at the activities at that time, were preliminary searches that were being conducted using other opportunities that could actually avail an opportunity to actually give a direction of the find or finding the aircraft location at the time. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
My last one, Chair. We have information again that when people were at Nkatabe attending the funeral of late Raf Kasambara, the commander informed whoever was at at Nkatabe, that the plane had failed to land at his and that it had returned to Lilongwe. And now my question is, did you have that information that the plane had failed to land and had returned to Lilongwe? Because this is what the head of state said. It's on record that the plane failed to land in Zuzu and it has returned to Lilongwe. And now I'm seeing here you are saying under 6 that the plane had failed to arrive at its intended destination and that contact with the aircraft had been lost. Can you clarify there?
I want to clarify, Honorable Member, from Zomba City South, Zomba City South. And I want to actually tackle it in this manner. Yes, if you look at 6, I want to start from 5. After the Air Force commander had informed me about the aircraft, the loss of the signal concerning the aircraft, he had requested that he proceed to his office to continue with the activity of searching for the aircraft or looking at the other means of finding where the aircraft was. And as he was going, myself, I mentioned to him, should you re-establish contact with the aircraft, I'm directing that you actually direct that it flies back to Lilongwe. That's number 1. If you actually go to number 8, progress report from the Malawi Air Force. Later, the Air Force commander gave me an update that the air traffic control at Mzuzu Airport that had reported established communication with a MAF aircraft, Tango 03, when the aircraft was approximately 20 nautical miles north of Mzuzu at around 10-12 hours. However, despite this communication, the aircraft has not landed at Mzuzu Airport as expected, and its whereabouts were unknown. What we are saying is that me directing, after this report from the Air Force commander that he had heard, it had not landed. I said, should you re-establish contact, inform them or direct them to fly back to Lilongwe. Where the air traffic control is talking about establishing contact at 10:12. This is only a progress report, and it's not saying anything about the aircraft returning. It is only saying they actually had this conversation and contact with the aircraft and the air crew. What we are saying is certainly reflects that maybe there were still efforts for them to land somewhere or maybe to return to Lilongwe. It could be from that assumption that a lot of people made or came up with to say maybe they wanted to fly back to Lilongwe. Thank you.
So I just wanted to take you back to item number 6 on the same issue, where you're saying at approximately 35 hours, you contacted His Excellency to inform him that the MAF Tango 03 carrying the Vice President and other passengers had failed to arrive at its intended destination, and that contact with the aircraft had been lost. Can you clarify when you say it had failed? Did it attempt to arrive? Did it attempt to land? What did you mean when you say it had failed to arrive? Did it attempt to go to Mzuzu and return? Because there were statements that were made, so this is an opportunity for you to clear yourself.
Thank you. Honorable Chair, had failed to arrive at the intended destination, which means, and I'm saying it is coming from the statement, if we look at the estimated time of arrival, it was supposed to be 10:02, but at this time it had not arrived. So this is actually where the narrative is coming from, to say it had not, okay? It had not arrived at the intended destination, because at the estimated time of arrival, it was not there. And that contact with the aircraft had been lost, because several attempts were made by the towers, both at Kia and also at the Air Force headquarters. They would not actually touch base with the aircraft. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Chairperson, he hasn't answered my question yet. I'm saying the head of state at that time had informed the nation that the plane had failed to land in Zuzu and that it was coming back. It was told to come back, to return to Lilongwe. It's on record. Now, who was telling the head of state? Who was giving this information to the head of state? Because you as the MDF commander, I thought you were the one who was updating the president regularly. Now we are telling this committee through this submission that it had failed to arrive at its intended destination and that contact with the aircraft had been lost at 10:35. Now the president went on air and said, no, the plane had failed to land in Zuzu and that it had been told to come back to Lilongwe. This is where I don't get it clear. You are the same person who are giving this information to the head of state, and now you are telling us something different. Can you clarify, please, Chair Submit?
Thank you very much, Honorable Member of the committee from Zomba City West. You are right. There was that statement that came from the head of state. But when you look at the narrative that is being presented, you find that there is a mention to say the aircraft from this Para 6, that the aircraft had lost contact and had failed to land. There's also mention when it is being reported by the Air Force commander that the aircraft, I think in the first paragraph, that is it? No. Yes, where the Air Force commander was informing me, and as he was going, after he had narrated to me what he had received from his base, these two statements are almost telling: lost contact, and me directing him to say, if you reestablish contact, if you are able to establish, direct it to fly back to Lilongwe. But the same is also actually happening when the air traffic controller in Mzuzu is saying they had actually established contact at some point, and they were reporting that they were 20 nautical miles north of Mzuzu. Now, you want to relate this to estimated time of arrival. They had not. Then, subsequently, you want to actually come up with a position to say maybe they are trying to return to Lilongwe. On the day, the weather was bad. Certainly, because they could not land, the thinking is that the only option was them to actually go to anywhere maybe they could land or maybe return to Lilongwe appropriately, so that maybe the aircraft could land and plan otherwise. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
So you can confirm that it was you who told the president that the plane was on its way back, was told to come back to Lilongwe. You can confirm.
Me, yes. Correct, Honorable Member of the Council.
We get Zomba Tondwe, and then we go that side, Mwanza Central.
Thank you so much, Chair. Former Army Commander, I will start by probably extending the same question from Zomba City South. It is a civil aviation practice that pilots are the ones that determines decision during flight. But in this case, you, through the Air Defense General, instructed the pilots to do as per your directive. Was that not, or is it a practice in military, or that was against the civil aviation practice, in your view?
Honorable Member of the committee, I'm not sure the response that you're looking for. You are saying you are saying the practice in aviation is for the pilot to make decisions, correct?
During
you
flight.
are saying, in my view, as commander, I commanded that they should actually return. I actually directed, after I was told that the aircraft was actually missing, okay, or could not be tracked. I was talking to the Air Force commander, telling him, if you and your team reestablish contact, from the narration that the weather is bad, direct maybe the aircraft to return to Lilongwe. Looking at maybe they were not going anywhere. That is where all this came from. I'm not sure if I have actually responded correctly, or maybe I misunderstood.
So let me put it clearly. Kapena ndifuse nchijewa mwina chomveka bwina. Malamulo zoyendesa ndege amanena kuti amene ali ndi mphamvu yopanga ziganizo poyendesa ndegeyo mmwamba ndi amene akuyendetsa ndegeyo. Apapa mwatiuza kunena kuti iniyo ndi amene munapereka chiganizo chonena kuti oyendetsa ndegeyo abwerere, koma iniyo simunali mu ndegemo, simaziwa zomwe zikuchitika mu ndegemo. Ndimaona ngati zimene sizikusemphana ndi malamulo, kapena poti ndi ku usilikali mmapanga mosiyana. Poyambirira.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member of the committee. The thinking was, the situation was not good. This is why I was advising the Air Force Commander, should your people reestablish contact, direct them to fly back to Lilongwe. It was in the interest of safety. Thank you very much.
Chair, I may continue through you. Yeah, now I wanted him to confirm that despite he was in the doing this in the interest of safety, yes, but I wanted him to confirm that that is against the expected standards. Is that so?
I will not take the "is that so." I want to look at it from a different perspective. The military is a different social construction or creature, and we respond according to what is obtained on the ground. If our troops are endangered, and we know that maybe they are going to actually come, they are going to actually come into danger or a danger, then certainly we try to protect them. So this actually response or information was basically to actually prevent them from experiencing a hazard. So certainly, I don't want to actually respond in the military or in the civilian way of looking at issues, but the military way of looking at issues.
Chair.
Hence the response to say, if you reestablish, if your people reestablish contact, please direct them to return to Lilongwe.
Thanks,
Thank
Chair.
you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Now, Chair, I wanted you to take note of the time he's giving this instruction with reference to the 10:30 time given by the former witness, Honorable Kasambala. Honorable Kasambala, just for your memory, Honorable Kasambala told this House that Honorable Hali Nkandawire, rather Mr. Kasambala, told this House, this committee, that Honorable Hali Nkandawire gave them a note to indicate that the plane, the Vice President would not be coming at 10:30. That's when he advised the family. Now, I wanted you to look at this. The time lapse from the expected time of arrival and the time the minister is giving instructions. I think the time was too short, and more so for the army commander, in my view, to make such a decision when you were not in the flight. But maybe I may not continue with the same question because he has said it may be military aspects. Just for noting. Number two, Chair, assuming that is what happens in the military, then would it be wrong for me to confirm that you are the one directing, rather giving instructions at all levels, like in this case, through the General of the Air Force, you could reach out to a pilot, and yet it's the Army General that reports to you, from what you said. So I wanted to confirm that in your capacity as the Army Commander, the CDF, you also could influence decisions at different levels of the Army. Is that so?
I cannot prevent you from, could I say mannerism, where you are saying, is that so? Because that becomes a bit discomforting. I would say, in military terms, it is good to prevent what can be prevented. So what we're trying to do is to prevent maybe a catastrophe from occurring. This is why, or the reason as to why, when the Air Force Commander was reporting, I said if contact was going to be reestablished, directed them to actually come back in the interest of safety.
Thank you so much.
Thank
My
you.
point, Chair, is I wanted this committee to note that the Army Commander had that kind of influence, just for noting as a committee, had that kind of influence at generals level and even at people below the generals, just for noting. But as I wound up, Chair, I wanted to get confirmation that during the tragic moment, there were already Malawi Army soldiers in Chikangawa. Would you confirm that?
I will confirm, but I also want to come back to your statement because it's like you are finalizing or maybe pushing me to say I have influence above everybody. Yes, I was in charge. I was in charge. But the situation that obtained on that particular day was me trying to prevent, a catastrophe to happen. That was the reason why I was actually talking to the Air Force Commander to be able to actually relate, should they reestablish contact, please, the weather was bad, they should actually fly back to Lilongwe. So for us to actually say, let's note, the commander was able to influence everybody during the operation, I think that might be wrong.
Yeah, on the soldiers, Chair, I asked the question about during the crash of the plane, I wanted him to confirm that there were already soldiers of the Malawi Defense Force in the Chikangawa forest during this particular time.
That is correct, Honorable.
As I wind up the very last one, Chair, you are not sure of the numbers, or you can acquaint this House?
The numbers that were in Chikangawa forest are 30 plus 1 officer and 30 other ranks, and I mentioned. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Chair, the very last one is just to request the General to furnish with us with anything that would be used as evidence confirming the procurement of the Zambian helicopter, so that we close up on the assertion by the Honorable Minister of Defense who came yesterday, who gave a slightly different picture than what he said. So just wanted to request if he could provide us any kind of evidence on the same. I submit, Chair.
So the former Minister of Defense said that the Zambian Air Force was ordered to assist with the search and rescue on the 10th, and then also helped with the evacuation of the bodies on the 11th. Now, in your submission, you have clearly indicated that the Zambian Air Force was only responsible for the evacuation of the bodies. So we just wanted to be very clear on the role that the Zambian Air Force did. Did it carry out any work on the 10th, or it only assisted with the evacuation of the bodies on the 11th, so that your report is also consistent?
Thank you very much, Chair. The Zambians only arrived on the 11th in the morning. And as such, they could not actually undertake the search and rescue operations, because by the time they were preparing to proceed to the area where the disaster had transpired, the aircraft had been located at the crash site. So I want to confirm to say the Zambians did not participate in this. Although they came with an idea that they were going to assist in the search and rescue, they did not partake in that activity. What happened, we only asked them to assist us repatriate our dead back to Lilongwe. I want to confirm that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that clarification. Mwanza Central, and then Deza Kasena.
Thank you very much. The president of this country, the former president of this country, Dr. Lazarus Makafe Chakwera, was on TV on 10th of June when he was updating Malawians about the incident. And in his statement, he said he directed the commander of the MDF to give him updates every 4 hours. It's on record. He made that statement. And on page 4 in your statement, you're saying the former president directed that he be kept continuously updated regarding the progress of the search and response operations. I just want us to clear that element, because when you say continuously, are you saying that every 4 hour period, or continuously as we know what continuously mean? Just to be sure whether this statement is talking about the same statement the president made.
Thank you very much, Honorable from Mwanza Central, and it's a very good question. I think the 4 hour narration and the continuously may be two terms which can be merged. And I think they are in line with maybe was the objective of informing the nation at large. So I would want to join to say the two should be considered as part of the continuously. Although when the president was maybe talking about it, he had truncated maybe the message.
Thank you
Or
very much.
apportioned actually the continuous into 4-hour portions of reporting times. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General. Just to be very specific, he's the one who gave you the direction. Was the direction that you give him an update every 4 hours?
Correct, honorable member of the committee.
Thank you very much. The other question, Chair, is on the statement that General made. You made a statement on TV that efforts to identify the site or the plane was being hampered by the thick forest. I just want to find out where you got this information from. Was it from the one who was commanding the officers at Chikangawa? Because in your statement you're saying by 1305 you had no idea. The plane has not been located, the signal has not been located. But you made a statement that Ndege inali Kokhwithima. So I just want to know where you got this information from.
I did not talk about that during this presentation. Can I recuse myself until I'm given an opportunity to explain where that transpired? If the committee is interested for me to answer, which will be out of context of the parameters of the terms of reference, I'm more than happy, but I should be given that permission. Because it's something that I have not talked about.
Chair, that's all from me. I had only those two questions.
General, I'm granting you permission to make this clarification because you made the statement.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Chair. I hope it's going to be off record because it's outside the terms of reference.
No, it's not off record because your summons strictly say that you must give us a testimony on events that occurred leading up to the 10th of June. And you have restricted yourself in your presentation to report all incidences and events that happened up to the 10th of June. And this happened, you made a statement on the 10th of June pertaining to this to this plane crash. So it can be off record. You have taken an oath here. Everything is being recorded. Every conversation is being recorded.
Thank you very much, Chair. There's a question actually that led to this. Number one question that came was, did you have troops in Chikangawa, even before this episode of the plane crash? The answer was yes. I also want to actually take the committee to an understanding that I know Chikangawa from my experiences. I stayed in Mzuzu, the 3rd Battalion of Moyale, as a commanding officer. Over and above that, I've been training in those areas for quite a long time. But maybe to answer this question in a comprehensive manner and exhaustively is to say this came from those that were on the ground. And this also came from the fact that those on the ground did not actually know where this aircraft had actually crashed or maybe landed at the time. And they came up with this statement and complemented my experiences that I had lived and my understanding of the nature of the ground in Chikangawa. So this came, yes, from those that were on the ground to say, you know, Chikangawa is thick. And I want to actually refresh your minds, those that have been on the ground. If you actually come from the Ruawa side and going towards Chikangawa, as you transition or transit through that area, you'll find that it's thick. I hope, and I'm reliably informed that the committee was able to visit the area. My question would be, what were your experiences? I think by now, vividly, you have that understanding that that particular portion of the area is thick. And this is where my statement came from when I was talking about the area being thick and using the term, the Chichewa literal term or literal meaning, Kotani, I use Kokhwithima. Kokhwithima meant Kowirira. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair.
There's Akasena and then Mulanje North.
Thank you so much, Chair. Good afternoon, General. I've noted that when Zomba Tondo was asking a question, I think he had asked you so that you able to understand each other. He had asked you in Chichewa, but you still responded in English. I'm not so sure whether which part of Unchinji that you don't know how to speak Chichewa, because I have some questions for Chichewa. I'm not so sure if you're going to be able to respond, or we just go straight into English.
Your discretion, Your Honorable. I leave it to you.
All right. Before I go to the substantive questions, I will take you to when you're responding to 172 soldiers which were on the ground, Zomba City South. I'd asked you if the number was good enough. And if I caught you well, you had said if they were deployed efficiently. You used that word, and I caught it. Now, I want to understand your opinion. When you got the response, we're getting the reports from the Brigadier Commander of 101 Brigade Commander, headquarters in Brigadier General Richard Shagona Panja. In your own opinion, 172 soldiers, were they efficiently deployed?
If you ask me, Honorable member of the committee, I want to say yes. It was 172, and I said they were complemented by the team that came from the Air Force, which actually made it.
Yes,
let the figure come to 200.
Yes, you said that, General. We are together, but I'm quoting what you said.
Yes.
Because Zomba City South had asked you, was the number good? Was it enough?
Yes.
And your
good.
answer was, if they were deployed efficiently. You used those words. Now, I want your opinion as a commander. 172 members, were they efficiently deployed? Quoting your own word.
Honorable member, if you ask me, I would say yes. I trusted my soldiers.
Why did you say if? Why would your response come with a condition of if?
Were they good enough? I said yes, if they were deployed efficiently. So you were asking me, were they? So I'm saying yes, they were.
Zachitika kuti? Zachitika nthawi zanji? Kodi nanga amene wapanga ndani? Musakhale nawo ngulu lovutika ndi mphekesera ayi. Tapangani subscribe ku Malawi Daily Headlines lero kuti zochitika mdziko mwanu momwe zisamakuphonyeni.